Hey there, Squarespace friend, and welcome to my channel. If you caught last week's video, I shared a step-by-step look at how to easily get set up and start blogging inside of Squarespace. Now, we looked at how to add a blog to your Squarespace site, how to add, manage, and edit your blog content, as well as some general blog settings and best practices that you should know if you're going to blog on the platform. Now, in this video, we'll be chatting about how to customize the look and layout of your blog page. But before we do, I'm genuinely really interested to hear whether you are a first-time blogger or whether maybe you've blogged before on another platform but are just new to Squarespace. I'd love to hear what you're up to and your story, so be sure to leave it for me in the comments. All right, let me grab my laptop and then we'll jump back in right where we left off last week. So last week we worked on getting our first few posts prepped in the back end of our blog. I definitely suggest having a few posts published and ready to go before trying to customize the look of your blog page. Otherwise, you won't be able to watch those changes you're making happen in real time. Remember, you can always keep your blog hidden from visitors by leaving it in your unlinked section, and you can unpublish any posts you don't want live after you've got things looking just the way you like them. To get to your blog page, just head to Pages and then Blog, or whatever you named your blog. Then click Edit. So your starting layout may look a little different than mine based on the template and layout you chose when you first started your site and added your new blog. But no worries, because every template in version 7.1 can be made to look and act exactly like the next one using Squarespace's easy-to-tweak built-in settings. Now, when we talk about customizing your blog page, what we're really talking about is how to customize this one special built-in blog section. This section Squarespace gives you automatically to display any content you publish. All the other content on your blog page can be added and styled as usual, so if you want additional content on your blog page beside just your blog post previews, just add new sections of content above or below your special blog section. But since your blog section has its own set of rules, I'll use today's video to let you in on what those are and how to tweak them. So let's first look at the thing that's going to have the biggest impact on the look of your blog, the layout. You currently have 5 options for the way your post will appear in your special blog section. First is the basic grid, where your content will be organized into 2 or more columns and neat symmetrical rows. There's also masonry style. This is similar to your basic grid, the difference being that your thumbnails will not be forced to crop to the same aspect ratio. So rather than being symmetrical rows, each preview will be as tall or as short as it needs to be. Then there's side by side, which is where your text will appear beside your posts in a list down the page. Alternating side by side is where your content will be set side by side like before, but this time rather than having all your images on one side and text on the other, they will alternate down the page. And single column. This is where your post previews will be stacked single file. Each of these main layout settings will have its own options for further customization. So if I select basic grid, these are my options. Page width, whether my content will span the full width of the page or be inset a bit. If you're wondering why this setting doesn't seem to be doing anything, it could be due to how you have your overall site spacing set in your site styles. This is found by going to Design and then Spacing. If the screen you're viewing your site on is smaller than your site's actual max page width, you may not be able to see those changes in real time since technically your content hasn't reached the end of the limits you've set. It still has room to responsibly grow before it hits that border, and Squarespace would have to force the content onto a new line. So this full width or inset option is in relation to your site's max page width limit, not the actual edge of your actual screen. They do this so that it would appear inset on a normal, larger screen, but it wouldn't make your content crazy skinny on something like mobile. To give you an example, I'm going to zoom out on my Mac, which is Command and the minus symbol, until my view looks a little more like how the site would appear on a larger desktop. If I set it to full width, you can see how it's the same full width of the page as my header. But then if I set it to inset, my blog page section content would be constrained to the center a bit more and not the full width of my other content. Columns, the set number of columns I want my content organized into. Padding is how much space I want horizontally or vertically between each post preview. Image placement is whether I want my preview text to appear above or below its thumbnail image on the page. Aspect ratio is what shape I want Squarespace to use when uniformly cropping all my thumbnails in that section. Text alignment is to align left, center, or right to align my preview text. Text display is whether to hide or display my blog post excerpts and this read more link. By the way, if you decide not to display this link, visitors would just read the post by clicking on its thumbnail image. Text spacing, the spacing and width of your preview text content. Metadata display and spacing, how and when to display your metadata or behind-the-scenes info that goes along with each post, like your categories, tags, author, and post-publish date. Delimiter style, this little bullet, dash, line, or space that separates one bit of metadata from the next. Like I said, each layout will have its own settings to help you fine-tune it. So let's quickly look at what's different with those other layouts. So really the only difference you will see here is that you don't have the option to choose an aspect ratio. Your thumbnail image height and the length of your preview text is what determines how tall your preview will be. So it won't need to be neatly cropped and organized into symmetrical rows like your basic grid layout. Side by side, the main difference to note here is that you do have the option to decide when you want your text or your image to be on the left of the page and what you want your image size to be. Single column. The biggest difference with this layout is that you actually have the option to display more than just the preview text. So you could have the entire post display one right after the other to keep visitors scrolling down the page. The only downside to this is that your blog page would not be easy to navigate if someone's in search of a specific post and you have a lot of posts. Okie dokes, so now that we're happy with the layout, let's get to tweaking those colors by heading under the Colors tab. If you haven't watched my video on setting your colors in your site style settings, I highly encourage you to take a moment and do that now. Don't worry, this video will still be waiting for you when you get back, and I promise you what I'm about to show you will make a heck of a lot more sense. So here under the Colors tab, we have the usual option for assigning one of our pre-made color themes to our section. But if you didn't have a blog page added to your site back when you were creating these themes, you might not have had the option to tweak the colors for some of these elements that are specific to your blog page, since Squarespace will only give you options for customizing what already exists on your site. So let's look at what you can customize. Remember, if you want to tweak a particular color theme, make sure that theme has been applied here on the page so you can watch any changes you make in real time. Now, the easiest way to see what you can customize for any specific page or section is to have that page open, then head to your design panel and click on the appearance setting you hope to change. So I've got my blog page open in my page builder window, and I want to see what options I have for colors. So I'm going to go to design and then colors and click on the color theme I want to edit. Now I'm just going to click on the area I want to see my options for. So in this case, it's my blog section. You can see this blue box appears to let you know what you've selected, and it automatically pulls up what is specific to that type of block or section. So in this case, I can tweak my blog section title, metadata, excerpt, and read more link. If you're looking for your palette colors, click palette, and if you want to add a new color that isn't already in your palette, click custom. Now, you would have already set the background color when you originally designed this section theme, but if you want to change it, just remember that it will affect the background of any section on your whole site that has the theme applied, not just your blog page. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the only part of your blog page that has special rules for what you can customize is this built-in blog section. But you can add and style pretty much any other type of content you can think of by introducing new sections above and below your blog section. If you're stuck for what else to be including on your blog page, tune in to next week's video. I'll be sharing blog page best practices, as well as a creative hack for designing completely custom layout for your blog page if you're feeling a little bit limited by what Squarespace's built-in section feature can do. So be sure to hit subscribe and tap that bell icon to be notified when the video drops. I'll pop the link in the description below once it's live as well for you. Oh, and if blogging is more than just a hobby for you and your goal in putting all this content out into the world is to drive more traffic to your site and get more eyeballs on your paid offerings, then I invite you to check out my most popular free training. It's called Build a Site That Sells 101. This in-depth 60-minute on-demand free training covers the site building best practices that you really need to know to turn all of those blog visitors into actual paying clients and customers. I'll be sure to pop the link to that in the description below for you as well. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to let me know by hitting that like button. And if you find yourself with any burning Squarespace questions, please do pop them in the comments for me below. I always love looking at what you're struggling with and then helping you out with some really useful videos to solve those exact problems. Wondering what to watch next? Check out these videos.